Every farmer in America wanted one, but nobody could figure out how to build it. The morning of October 15th, 1924, smelled like rain and diesel fuel across the farmlands of Illinois. In a barn outside Dearborn, Michigan, a machine sat covered under canvas, a machine that would either revolutionize American agriculture or bankrupt International Harvester. The tractor they'd spent 3 years building. The one that broke every rule about what tractors were supposed to be. They called it the Farmall, and if it failed, row crop farming would stay exactly as it had been for 10,000 years, behind a horse. But there's something you need to understand before we go further. Something about why this machine mattered more than any invention in farming history. Because in 1924, America was starving. Not literally, but agriculturally. And the problem wasn't that we didn't have tractors. The problem was that tractors were useless. Let me paint you a picture. It's 1922. You're a corn farmer in Iowa with 160 acres. You've heard about these new tractors, mechanical marvels that could pull a plow without rest, without feed, without complaint. You've seen your neighbor's Fordson. You've watched the demonstrations. The power is intoxicating. So you buy one. You spend $395, nearly a year's profit from 20 acres. You drive it home, pride swelling in your chest. Tomorrow, you'll plow your fields in half the time. Tomorrow, you'll finally get ahead. Tomorrow comes. You fire up the Fordson. The engine roars. You lower the plow and head into your cornfield. The machine lurches forward, powerful and unstoppable. And then you realize the problem that no one, not Ford, not John Deere, not any tractor manufacturer in America, had solved. Your corn rows are 42 inches apart. Your tractor is 63 inches wide. The machine that was supposed to save you is destroying your crop. The wheels crush 3 rows for every one you plow. You watch in horror as hundreds of dollars of future harvest disappear under iron wheels. By sunset, you've plowed 5 acres and destroyed 2 acres of standing corn. The math is brutal. The math doesn't work. You park the tractor in the barn. Tomorrow, you'll hitch up the horses again, and you'll never speak of the tractor again. This wasn't one farmer's problem. This was every farmer's problem. In 1922, there were 246,000 tractors in America, and not a single one of them could cultivate row crops without destroying them. Tractors could plow virgin ground. They could pull threshers at harvest. But during the growing season, when crops needed weeding, when soil needed cultivation, when the real work of farming happened, tractors sat idle while horses did the work. The numbers tell the story. In 1920, American farmers owned 25 million horses, because they had to. Because no machine could do what horses did. Walk between crop rows without crushing them. But here's what most people don't know, what the history books skip over. Someone was trying to solve this, had been trying for 3 years in a secret development program that International Harvester wouldn't even acknowledge existed. His name was Bert Benjamin. And on February 12, 1922, he'd made a promise to his boss that would either make him a legend or end his career. "Give me 2 years," Benjamin had said. "I'll build you a tractor that can cultivate cotton." His boss, Alexander Legge, had stared at him across the desk. Cotton, the most challenging row crop in America. Rows so close together that even the smallest tractors couldn't navigate them. Benjamin wasn't promising to improve tractors. He was promising to reinvent them. 2 years, Lega said. You get 2 years and whatever budget you need. But Bert, if you fail, we never speak of this again. What Benjamin understood, what nobody else had figured out, was that the problem wasn't power. American tractors had plenty of power. The problem was geometry. Every tractor in America was built like a truck, engine in front, driver in back, wheels on either side of the machine's center. This made them stable. It made them powerful, and it made them exactly the wrong width for row crops. Benjamin's solution was radical. Move the front wheels together, not side by side, together, under the engine. Then raise the driver up high, giving him a clear view of the rows below. Create a tricycle instead of a truck. His engineers thought he was insane. A tricycle configuration was inherently unstable. It would tip. It would fail. Every principle of tractor design said it couldn't work. But Benjamin had done the math. If he could get the front wheels 9 inches apart, he could navigate 38-inch rows. And then if he raised the axle high enough, 20 inches of ground clearance, the machine could straddle growing crops without touching them. The first prototype rolled out in November 1922. It looked wrong. The front wheels, close together, made it seem unbalanced. The high seating position made it seem tippy. The narrow front end made it seem weak. Benjamin drove it into a test field of cotton. He lowered the cultivator. He pressed the throttle. The machine moved forward. The narrow front wheels slipped between the rows. The cultivator teeth bit into the soil, ripping out weeds. The rear wheels straddled the crop row, never touching the plants. For the first time in history, a tractor was doing row crop cultivation. Benjamin circled the field once, twice, 3 times. The machine held its line. The crops remained untouched. The weeds fell away. When he shut off the engine, the only sound was wind moving through cotton plants. Perfect, undamaged cotton plants. But here's where this story gets interesting, where it stops being about engineering and starts being about business. Because what Benjamin had built wasn't just a tractor, it was a threat. International Harvester was the largest maker of horse-drawn farming equipment in the world. Their McCormick Works in Chicago built cultivators, planters, and harvesters, all designed to be pulled by horses. In 1923, those horse-drawn implements generated $47 million in revenue. Benjamin's machine would destroy that business overnight, because a tractor that could do row crop work would replace horses. And if farmers didn't need horses, they didn't need horse-drawn implements. The company faced a choice: protect $47 million in current revenue, or pursue an unknown future with a machine that might fail. The board meetings were brutal. The horse-drawn implement division managers fought hard. This machine, they argued, would cannibalize their business. They were right. It would. But Alexander Lega understood something they didn't, and someone was going to build this machine. Either International Harvester would build it and control the future, or a competitor would build it and destroy them. Better we kill our own business, Lega said, than let someone else kill it for us. The decision was made. They would manufacture Benjamin's machine, but they needed a name, something that captured what it did, something that separated it from the useless tractors farmers already knew. Someone suggested Farmall, a machine that could do all farm work. The name stuck. The Farmall. Production began in October 1924. The first units rolled out to dealer showrooms across the Midwest. International Harvester's salesmen had strict instructions. Demonstrate it in the field. Don't just talk about it. Show what it can do. The demonstrations followed the same pattern. Gather farmers. Lead them to a cornfield in midsummer when the crop stood waist-high. Start the Farmall. Drive into the rows. Farmers would gasp. Some would literally step forward, trying to stop it. You couldn't drive into standing corn. That's not how farming worked. The machine would destroy everything. But the Farmall's narrow front end would slip between rows. The 20-inch ground clearance would carry the axle over the plants. The rear wheels would straddle the rows, and the cultivator would rip out weeds while leaving the crop untouched. One pass through the field. That's all it took. Farmers who'd seen it demonstrated placed orders immediately, because what they'd just witnessed was impossible. They'd been farming for generations, and their fathers and grandfathers before them. And the iron law of farming was, machines crush crops. The Farmall broke that law. The first year, 1924, International Harvester built 200 Farmalls. They sold every single one. The second year, they built 828. Sold out. The third year, 4,430 units. Sold out again. By 1930, they were producing 100,000 Farmalls a year, and still couldn't keep up with demand. But here's what the Farmall really changed. What the numbers don't capture. By 1935, the American horse population had dropped to 12 million, down from 25 million in 1920. By 1950, it was 3 million. The Farmall hadn't just replaced horses on farms, it had eliminated them. Cotton cultivation, which had required 40 hours of hand labor per acre in 1920, required 4 hours in 1950. Corn yields doubled. Wheat yields tripled. One farmer in 1950 could work land that required 5 farmers in 1920. The Farmall made that possible, not because it was powerful, but because it could navigate rows. Think about that. The entire transformation of American agriculture, from a labor-intensive system requiring millions of farmers to a mechanized system requiring thousands, hinged on one insight, one geometric innovation: 9 inches between front wheels instead of 60. Today, every row crop tractor in the world uses the Farmall's basic design. The tricycle configuration, the narrow front end, the high ground clearance. When you see a modern John Deere in a cornfield, you're looking at Bert Benjamin's 1924 design. International Harvester itself is gone, absorbed by Case 1H in 1985. But the Farmall? The Farmall is still here. There are more Farmalls still working American farms than any other tractor brand from the 1920s. Because Benjamin and Lega understood something profound. The future doesn't belong to the most powerful machine. It belongs to the machine that solves the problem everyone said was impossible. In 1922, everyone knew tractors couldn't do row crop work. Everyone knew horses were irreplaceable. Everyone knew the geometry didn't work. Everyone was wrong. And 160 acres in Iowa were never the same again.